Clearing agents at the Port of Mombasa are piling pressure on the Kenya Revenue Authority to integrate its digital network to correspond to international platforms to speed up cargo clearance at the port. The agents have undergone mandatory training in the use of KRA's Simba system following the implementation of the single customs territory along the Northern Corridor from 2013. KTN's Philip Keitany reports.
Solidarity forever, solidarity forever. It is clear that all is not well at the Port of Mombasa as clearing agents protest what it terms as favoritism by the clearing system that seems to favor agents from Uganda, as the Kenya Revenue Authority Simba system is rendered irrelevant by the Askuda system used by the Ugandan agents.
Since this system has been brought it is literally taken our jobs away. So we can't do anything. We are just sitting out there. Nothing is being done by us.
More than 60% of cargo transiting the port of Mombasa is destined for Uganda, meaning the agents have to use Askuda. The call to integrate KRA platforms with the international system has only intensified after the single custom territory, whose rollout began with the clearance of bulk oil and petroleum, extended to include clearance of motor vehicles and steel.
The unfortunate procedure of the single customs territory, that is clearly, the implementation is clearly taking away the business that clearing and forwarding agents have been operating on.
The Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, KIFWA, now insists that KRA system has been clogged with the introduction of steel and motor vehicles. Agents based in Kenya have always cleared transit cargo destined to Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Congo and Southern Sudan, which has now been taken by Ugandan agents who are using the Askuda system.
The unfortunate part is the implementation of this program, especially without putting into consideration the major fact that clearing agents across board should maintain business, should retain business, and should make sure that apart from efficiency, we have a level playing ground.
The Kenyan custom agents are now petitioning KRA to reverse the introduction of motor vehicles and steel under the SCT and ensure efficiency of the Askuda system before introducing more commodities. Philip Keitany, KTN Business.
Thanks, Philip. Now, the planned reopening of the Pan Paper factory now hangs in the balance following threats by local politicians and former workers to move to court seeking publication of the factory's sale agreement. Rai Business Group last week confirmed that it would inject up to 6 billion shillings to revive the miller that closed back in 2009. Earlier, I spoke to KTN correspondent Robert Wanyonyi on how the residents have received the factory revival news and what economic value it would bring to Bungoma County.
Previous visits to State House by political leaders from Western Kenya have always elicited both criticism and support. The most recent one being one visit that saw the announcement by the government to reopen Pan Paper mills in Webuye, a paper factory that has remained closed for over 8 years now.
Napofunguliwa, biashara yetu itaendelea, tutakuwa na customers.
It will help us. Those who are unemployed, especially the youth in this area, they will get employment.
After many behind-the-scenes meetings aimed at reopening the collapsed paper factory, the recent announcement by the government came as good news to local residents.
Pan Paper wakati tulikuwa nafanya kazi, tulikuwa tunauza vizuri, tulikuwa tunauza vitunguu vyetu, lakini tangu wafunge tumeumia, kwa maana wengi ndio walikuwa wanatunulia vitunguu yetu. Sasa tunaomba serikali yetu iweze kufungua Pan Paper na iweze kufanya kazi, tuweze kuuza, tulipia watoto wetu school fees.
But now, some undercurrents have emerged, with a section of former workers and political leaders demanding openness as far as the sale agreement is concerned. The workers are threatening to move to court to oppose the planned takeover of the factory until all the outstanding salary arrears and allowances are cleared.
Wakati Wahindi walipoondoka walituacha tu hivyo hivyo na wakasema watatupatia 30%. Kwa miezi mitatu. Hiyo pesa sisi hatujaona paka wa leo. Wakati receiver alipochukua hii kiwanda wakatusimamisha tukakaa tu hivi. Sasa tuko kwa manyumba hapa na tunaumia.
Walitusimamisha kazi, hawakutupa mwelekeo yoyote. Sasa tunaomba kama wamefungua pan paper watuangalie sisi kwanza, wafanyikazi wa zamani.
Others are loudly questioning the price of Kenya shillings 900 million arrived at for the sale of the paper factory, saying it's way far below the required investment of 18 billion Kenya shillings.
When mimi ingekuwa at least like a billion, like 12-13 billion. I think that is a good amount.
Mtu akisema amenunua milioni 900 inamaanisha nini? Inamaanisha hizi vitu zote zimesanywa zikawekwa kwa gunia na yeye anauziwa na shilingi 900 milioni. Hiyo sisi kama wakazi na wenyeji na viongozi wa jimbo ya Bungoma hatujakubaliana, sababu huenda wamehusishwa watu wachache kwa misingi ya manufaa yao binafsi.
My challenge to the Jubilee government is that be consistent. Invest in the revival of the industries in this region, but then don't sabotage those industries through importation of cheap products that make it impossible for the products from our local industries to survive in the market.
All we want is that we want jobs and the flourishing of our town, because there will be economic benefits.
In spite of the current undertones now being witnessed between those in support and those against the reopening of the paper factory, many residents here in Webuye feel that the reopening of pan paper will spark an economic revival of sorts, not only in Webuye and Bungoma County, but in the western region as a whole. Robert Wanyonyi, KTN News Business.
Duncan Lumwamo is the senior investment analyst at Saiton Investments, talking to us about what's making big headlines in business this week. And let's move on now. The hassle of millions of young entrepreneurs battling to access capital is a common phenomenon in Kenya. With a thriving SME sector, credit comes in handy for one to succeed in the Kenyan market. On this week's edition of Transformers, KTN's Abby Agena speaks to Darlene Menzies, the founder of a revolutionary software dubbed SMEasy, on what SMEs can take and do as well to grow and sustain their businesses.
With a fast-growing population now standing at over 43 million people, Kenya is among the few countries in the world with an attractive labor force. At least over 60% of the population is below the age of 35, handing Kenya a huge demographic dividend. This position has destined the country as a key market for multinationals to tap into the vast dichotomy of skilled youth. The population surge has come with its fair share of challenges, such as a 40% unemployment rate, implying that out of 10 young people, 6 are unemployed. With jobs being hard to come by, the youth have resorted to pursuing other alternatives, such as setting up small businesses to make ends meet in the harsh economic environment where the cost of living has been on the upside.
Sometimes inakuwa ngumu, you don't even have money to survive, you know. But I believe with time I'll get people, because I'm new in the field.
Data from Nairobi-based tech incubation hub iLab shows that out of 10 startups, only 2 make it to their 5th birthday. Among some of the reasons cited for the high failure rate of SMEs in the country is lack of access to cheap capital and poor financial management.
What SMEasy is, it's an online, easy-to-use accounting system for entrepreneurs. And how we came up with the concept was that I actually left the corporate world. I was there for 15 years. About 15 years ago, I started my own businesses, and my first 2 businesses failed. And when I look back on why they had failed, it wasn't because I couldn't sell, and it wasn't because I didn't have a good product. It was because I couldn't manage my finances.
Darlene Menzies is a South African-based entrepreneur who started an ICT solutions firm to help transform the way SMEs run their businesses.
It's what's called a cloud-based service. So it's accessible on any internet-connected device. So if you've got a mobile phone, a tablet, a laptop or a PC that has access to the internet, then you have access to SMEasy. You just go into your browser and you type in www.smeasy.com and it takes you into the system for you to log in. The great thing about it being a cloud service is that if your laptop crashes or it gets stolen, you haven't lost your data because it's all backed up 24/7 So entrepreneurs often are too busy to do backups. They land up, their laptop crashes, all of their data was on Excel, their invoices, and now they've lost all their history.
From her first-hand experience of having to shut down her business for running out of funds, she came up with an idea that could help SMEs manage their finances and unlock massive opportunities for additional capital.
Biggest burgeoning market in the world, SME sector. Entrepreneurs are the champions of Africa. They're the only ones that are going to make sure that that our continent survives, that it grows, that it becomes something that is competitive in the bigger world arena. So I have no doubt that entrepreneurs are growing by the day. The problem is many are starting, how many are surviving? And so we've got to find the starting is not so much the issue as once they've started, do they have a good business model? Is their business model sound? And do they have the support mechanisms in terms of the tools to turn that idea into a reality and employ staff?
Darlene believes the only way to help small businesses rise up the ladder is by according them the right tools to leapfrog them to becoming bigger companies. With Kenya experiencing...
South Africa, our go-to-market strategy has been what's called a digital one. So we've done digital marketing to bring people in, so it hasn't been with big partners. So we've had a very big uptake on the business-to-consumer side of things, and now we're partnering with the banks and the telcos to do the volume licensing. My sort of prospects in terms of going forward, you know, if you look at something like M-Pesa, it didn't take off in South Africa, but it took off like a wildfire here in Kenya. And I think the atmosphere in Kenya, both in terms of entrepreneurship, the embracing of technology, the whole digital side of things, and just from gauging our short time feeling out the market, there's an incredible appetite for a product like SMEasy.
Kenya experiencing the entrepreneurial bug, it is only prudent for young companies to grow and sustain themselves, but talent and capital is not enough. It takes more than that, as Darlene quips.
The recipe of success of an entrepreneur is first of all, you've got a dream. You've got to believe that your dream has to be bigger than you so that you can grow into it. I think that's important. You've got to risk. Corporates are not risking, governments are not risking, which is why we're getting no innovation happening. So risk is a massive thing. If you want to build a business, solve a problem. That's my biggest advice. Don't try and make something that you think is going to be good and try and push it into the market. Solve a problem and your product will get pulled into the market. And the other two big things, perseverance and hard work. You know, it's not the cleverest who survive, but those that hang on the longest. You've got to persevere in the hard nights, climbing up big mountains when you think you're never going to make it, and then hard work. You know, the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. You've got to work hard to become successful. So
Abia Gina, KTN Business, for Transformers.
And that is SMEasy, the innovative software helping small and medium enterprises, leapfrog into well-established businesses. Now, the long wait to the integration of South Sudan into COMESA is over after Africa's youngest state officially signed to join the regional economic community. That was yesterday. The signing of the document was witnessed by COMESA Secretary General Sindino Ngwenya at the Mombasa Foroda House during the 9th meeting of the Management Committee of the Regional Customs Transit Guarantee Scheme. Leading the South Sudan delegation was Stephen Matatia, who is the Director General for External Trade in the Republic of South Sudan. Uganda and Ethiopia also joined the COMESA to boost trade in the region.
Thank you very much. Today is a great day for us in the Southern Sudan. Now we have peace, and now we are joining COMESA as a trading bloc. I think we will do a lot. We are in the middle of all COMESA member countries, Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia, and Sudan, and DRC Congo. These are all members of COMESA. And I think our being in the middle, we will be able to facilitate this RCTG and the yellow card as well. We have signed the agreement for the accession to this RCTG and the yellow card scheme. of COMESA.
And well, that's an economically significant moment for South Sudan after recently, of course, joining the East African Community member countries. Now they have joined the COMESA regional bloc that is meant to enhance trade in the world's youngest nation. Now let's wind up by taking a look at our Twitter poll where we asked, is double-digit economic growth attainable by 2020 in Kenya? And let's take a look at the results. 23% are saying yes, 61% are saying no, it's not possible or attainable by the year 2020, and those who don't know are actually at 16%. So a bigger chunk of respondents on Twitter say no, it's not attainable. That is the double-digit economic growth in Kenya by the year 2020. But let's take a look at some of the reasons that have been given here. And Maurice Mbetu is saying, with the kind of selfish leaders we have, I don't think it is possible to have double-digit economic growth. And Lawrence Gitonga is saying the political environment is just wrong. And Maurice Mbetu, once again, you're saying, never with the selfish leadership we have, compare Singapore's economy to Kenya now. And you go on to actually say selfless, brutal war against corruption and long-term visionary policies is what defines us. More than 35 years ago, Singapore was on the same economic level as Kenya with a GDP growth of more than 14.5%. To Kenyans, we're actually not doing too badly either. And Stephen, or SVETS M1, is saying, yes, it's attainable with good leadership, accountability, and financial prudence of taxes and support of Kenya's key economic sectors. Well, thank you all so much for your contributions on this edition of Business Today. Can't go through them all, but this conversation continues online. You can take part in our Twitter poll question as well. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. Thank you all for watching. Coming up next is News Hour.